Okay, come in, relax, sit down, put your feet up, and get ready to listen to This Is Bodybuilding. It's a bodybuilding podcast. It's a life podcast. It's a journal. It's an entryway into the hearts and the minds and the lives and the souls of the people involved in the world of bodybuilding. I'm Daniel Lansfield, and this week on the show, my guest is the one and only Cheryl Frost. Cheryl is without a doubt one of the top figure competitors in Australia today. Her record at the national and international level, it basically speaks for itself. She's got an array of titles, including Miss Universe, and she's also moved into the coaching space over the last couple of years. So she's really taken on a lot more than just the competitor role. She recently took a team from Australia to the Lauren Powers Classic in the USA, and with all the work she's doing, she's continuing to mentor people who are coming up in the ranks of bodybuilding, and also those competitors who have been around for a while, the veterans and the newcomers, all together. So that's really fantastic. I guess the thing I love about Cheryl is her positivity, her attitude. Just it sits very much in the realm of, I don't have time for people who want to bring others down, and that's really important. It's really something special. We don't really go too much into it in the interview, but we were talking about the sort of stuff that women in bodybuilding receive through social media, and anyone listening to this, I'm sure you can appreciate that. There's a lot of negativity around women's bodybuilding, and it's not necessarily, it's never really warranted, but yeah, I mean, there is a lot of stigma around women's figure in today's society, and especially since a larger number of female competitors are shying away from the figure and the bodybuilding classes. They're going towards the bikini and the fitness and the sports model look. And I remember back in the 90s and the early 2000s, the figure and physique lineups at contests in Australia were always very hotly contested, and Australia's produced a lot of the world's best female bodybuilders, and we still do. But the general desire for that look, it sort of seems to have moved into a place of obscurity, I suppose you'd say. It's not really all that well publicised anymore. People aren't really that keen on that sort of look. At least that's the way it seems. And look, I don't know, maybe it's the promoters and the promotions that don't have the role models at the top that they're willing to promote to show women in bodybuilding and showcase that there's plenty of options for women to compete at different levels, and that they can succeed at any level, whether they're a first-time bikini competitor or a master's figure or physique competitor. Maybe it's that women don't want to look like that anymore. Maybe that they're afraid of what people might say. I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave a comment if you're listening to this on SoundCloud or iTunes. And just a reminder, this week's episode is brought to you absolutely free, so please be sure to subscribe to receive all the latest updates, and remember to head over to Facebook and click like, Facebook/This Is Bodybuilding.
Okay, I haven't prepared anything.
No, it's okay. You don't need to prepare. It's so just do a sound check.
Okay, and how close do I talk to?
No, that should be fine, I think.
Just about.
That should be okay.
All right, this is our sound check.
This is our sound
This is our
check.
sound check. Sound check. 1, 2, 3.
So, Cheryl.
Are we going to play back and hear what it sounds like, or
No,
you can tell us working?
Right. Well, look, this is okay because I can play with the volumes later.
All right. So once we start, we're serious.
Oh, we're started. We're already started.
Okay.
I like to start before, so it
Right.
gives us a bit of taking the piss time.
Okay. So,
How long have you been competing?
Daniel, hi. Thanks. Great to talk to you and tell you about my story. I've been competing now for 15 years. So
your first comp was in 2001?
Yeah. Yes, it probably would have been way back then. I don't even know now. A long time.
A long time.
It's become part of my. It's so long now. It's become part of my life. I feel I live it, breathe it, own it. It's who I am, really.
Do you remember your first contest?
I absolutely do, because I was completely nervous and very anxious about the whole experience. So I think I remember every little tiny thing about it, every feeling, every emotion, every heartbeat that went into the day.
Do you remember where you placed?
Yes, I think I placed second. I think it was one of the very first INBA Brisbane shows at the time. So yeah.
Wow. And 15 years later,
Wow.
traveling the world on
Absolutely.
the world stage.
Living the dream,
Yeah.
living the life. That's probably one of the most amazing things about bodybuilding for me, is that it's actually become an incredible lifestyle, and it's enabled me to see so many wonderful things of the wonderful places of the world. I think particularly too, competing in the federation with NABA WFF, with the international titles often moving through different countries of the world, it exposes us, enables us to travel when we compete.
Otherwise, you just get stuck sitting in the one
location.
Go to the one place every
that's
year.
Right.
And
so I've done a number of NABA Worlds and WFF Universes, and I think in the last 7 years I've competed in Brazil, Italy, Korea, Malta, France, USA.
Mm-hmm.
There might be one or two more in there too, but that's what comes to mind.
I'm just trying to think. I don't think there would be many times when you would have placed out of the top 2 or 3.
Yes, generally top 2, 3 every time. So I've been very blessed. I think my very first international show in Brazil, it was very much about an experience, and I didn't place at that show. Then after that, it became it's no longer about the experience. This has become serious. This is about placing now. So I had my experience, and that was done.
So you started. So I'm not going to try and give your age away, but you started competing probably a little bit later than some competitors now. Like most people, now who are serious into bodybuilding, they're trying to get into it in their early 20s.
Yes.
So you sort of got into it in the late 20s, early 30s?
Yes, I was an athlete first. So I had a career as a sprinter and a career as a pole vaulter. I think we were talking a little bit about that before. And then as I was jumping, I had a lower back injury, so I started strengthening my back at the gym. And it was at that time I remember seeing some women who competed, and I just thought, wow, they are absolutely phenomenal. I went along to watch a show, and I thought, oh, I would love to do that. What a fantastic thing to be able to do and to achieve all of that with your body. So it became a new passion.
Now, with pole vaulting, I've never been able to understand this. Does the actual pole that you use?
Yes.
How
bendy?
Bendy is it?
It's reasonably bendy. It's.
I always think it's going to break.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I know, as it bends in half. It's all about, and that in itself is a very powerful sport. It's all about the drive, and it's about speed, and it's about strength, and it's very explosive and very, very powerful.
So how did you get into pole vaulting?
From athletics, from being a sprinter.
Okay. Someone just say, "Here, Cheryl, take this stick and
jump over off we go. It required a bit of skill as well to actually with the with timing it and the jumping and So, but that was a long time ago, and since then, the focus purely has been also on strength training and on creating something marvelous with my physique, which I think is a wonderful thing about bodybuilding. Not only is it a sport, although some would say it's not a sport, it's a lifestyle, but you create something absolutely amazing with yourself out of it. So you not only become strong, and there's a level of, you do a set of deadlifts, and it's a level of fitness required to do that, but you create something absolutely phenomenal, magnificent and amazing with your body that you can feel really proud of.
That's good. It's good to be positive about it. It's a lot of negative Nellies out there especially around bodybuilding.
Absolutely.
Spinning a lot of negativity.
And I think too that the further I've gone into the sport, and perhaps the more muscle that I've built, the more the negative Nancy's come out of the woodwork. And I just guess my attitude towards that these days is I really just don't give a second of my time to negativity. Doesn't have a place. And I think to really succeed in bodybuilding and competing, it takes a very focused mindset, of discipline and of self-control and of willpower and of motivation. And I truly believe that success on the outside starts on the inside. And as a coach, I've seen a lot of people start the process, but unless their thinking and their thought patterns are in the right place, they never really achieve the success or never really get where they want to go. So I really believe that it's about creating the right mindset to achieve those goals. And I think they go hand in hand with bodybuilding a lot more than people really realise.
What so your coaching style then is it much? I know a lot of coaches will take you to the gym and that's it. Your coaching style is a bit more psychological.
Absolutely. I also come from a social work psychology background as well. So as a result of that, I've got a bit of an insight into the importance of mindset and thought patterns. And as a coach, I can give someone the best diet and the best training program in the world, but unless they can stick to it, or unless they feel really positive about it, they're not necessarily going to achieve the results. So as part of coaching with my clients, I like to teach what I've learnt myself, I think bodybuilding has taught me so many lessons about positivity, about focus, about motivation. And as I always say, it actually isn't about motivation at all. It's about commitment. Motivation comes, motivation goes. If I only ever trained the days I was motivated, I wouldn't train very much. It's about commitment. You make a commitment to achieving something, and that's what you follow through. So I find that as a coach, I've got the wonderful opportunity to teach people some of the things that I've learnt, I've struggled with, or they've been challenges for me, and that I've learnt through hard times, that I can actually teach people how to...
What's the biggest struggle that you've had? I don't want to go
too
deeply into
that's fine. They're great things to talk about and great things to share, because people can learn from all these experiences. So if we're talking particularly about bodybuilding, I mean, bodybuilding is very much about nutrition and about diet and about training and mindset, all that go together. But I think for me, and this is perhaps where I focus a bit more my coaching about nutrition, is I think that after many years of competing and dieting very hard and doing lots of cardio, I experienced metabolic damage, I suppose you could say. I did a show. Initially, fat would fall off my body quite easily. Then as the years got on, it started getting a bit harder and a bit harder. There came this one particular show. I found myself having to do crazy amounts of cardio to get lean, and basically cutting all my carbs and just about starving myself. And even still then, losing fat was very hard. Yeah. After that show, I had rebound weight gain, I had hormonal issues, metabolic issues, and was in a very crazy headspace. So that experience, despite it being very miserable and devastating and distressing and a really tough time in my life, became my greatest learnings. I think from our greatest struggles come our greatest learnings. And so from that, I started really researching and trying to learn about metabolism, how to repair my own metabolism. Once I began an understanding of thyroid health and cellular metabolism and how all our body systems works together, I've now got to a place where I can diet wisely, I can diet smart, I can diet healthily without having to do crazy amounts of cardio and still keep my calories quite high. So I guess I like to teach that to other people who are competing, is that you don't have to take extreme measures to achieve an extreme result. People often take bodybuilding to a very extreme, but it doesn't have to be that way. Extreme measures often end up in destroying your health, destroying your energy, causing you to be fatigued and depressed. Yet if we find balance, we actually get better results. So I find now as a coach and as an athlete, if I keep myself healthier, with more energy, healthier with food and the balance and a variety of food, I actually get better results than when I actually do things really, really hardcore-wise. And I can now get myself in absolutely amazing condition, super lean and super shredded, by being balanced. And I once never would have thought that was possible.
So that comes from keeping everything in check and sort of living the lifestyle and not letting things fly one way off the rails, and then having to diet so hard that you're
balance. Very much about balance. And it's and I really believe it's about keeping a balanced variety of food in our diet as well. So many of us in the sport take things to an extreme. It's a sport of obsessions. It's a sport of extremes. And when we take things to an extreme with our nutrition, or even with our training and overtraining, we lose something along the way.
You were saying before that when you set a diet for someone, you don't strip all of the fun out of it.
No.
You've got some dark chocolate in there, and
absolutely
maybe natural orange juice,
natural orange juice, natural ice cream. Even I include in a lot of people's diet, and I have myself as well. I try to keep food as clean and as natural and organic as possible, as I think that also has an impact upon how our body functions. But whenever somebody feels, or whenever I know for myself as a competitor, if I feel deprived for any extended periods of time, I'm more likely to fall off the wagon. And if I can keep somebody focused as a coach, I'm going to be able to get better results than actually hardcore dieting someone and having them fall off the wagon. So getting that balance really, I think, helps us achieve healthier bodies, a better looking body, a body that's not deprived, that's not depleted, that's not exhausted, and enables us to put muscle on easier as well. The more we eat, the more muscle that we can put on.
So before you got into bodybuilding, you worked as in the police.
I did a
You mentioned that
I did a
before.
university degree. I studied, did a Bachelor of Social Work.
Yep.
Then after that, I joined the police force for a very short period of time until I got a position working in a child protection unit, which was something that I had an interest in back then. So I spent many years, and I worked in a child protection role, then worked in a ministerial liaison officer's role, writing policy.
Yeah.
So this is
a bit of different roles,
very different. And then it got to a point where I thought, you know what, I've got something stirring inside of me. I've got a passion, I've got an excitement, and what I'm doing is not ringing my bells. I've got this music inside me that's not being played. I've got these tunes I want to dance to. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to do what makes my heart sing. And that's to do with fitness, bodybuilding, strength training, health, well-being, lifestyle, all those things, I suppose. And I just think that bodybuilding is just one really little aspect of all of that. So I became a trainer. I opened a gym. Gym became fabulously successful, which was a really wonderful, fun, exciting experience. I worked with people who wanted to be worked with, and I think when we get to a point where we can help people feel good about themselves, it's a really great thing. Bodybuilding gives a lot of bodybuilding, figure competing, fitness modelling, bikini, body athletes, I might call that, rather than the hardcore word of bodybuilding.
Yep.
Helps a lot of women feel confident about themselves.
Yeah.
A woman who has never worn a bikini before, to be able to put a bikini on there and hop up in front of hundreds of people is such a huge achievement. That's so great for someone's self-esteem and so great for their confidence. And as an achievement, you achieve something that's really counts.
It's a very personal thing too. I mean,
It is.
I know we after running a contest a few years ago, one of the competitors came up to Dad and she said, "I haven't felt this good since my wedding day."
Wow. Yeah.
And he sort of went, "Oh, that's an interesting comment to make.
Yeah.
Surely your wedding day should be, or those sorts of massive moments in your life." But obviously, I think I'm not sure how long it had been since she'd been in that sort of feeling positive about her body. But clearly it'd been quite a long time.
Yeah.
And it's really nice when just a local competition can
actually have
totally
that impact.
revolutionise how someone sees.
Yeah. Well, for
sees
women,
themselves.
it's as women we get glammed up for the day. We we get our hair done, we get our makeup done. We're wearing a bikini that costs lots of money with lots of glitz and sparkles on it, and beautiful shoes, and we get the tan. And it is a really big process that makes women, that talking from a woman's point of view, that makes women feel really beautiful.
Guys don't really have that.
No.
You just sort of put on the look. To be honest, I think half the blokes out there, if their posing trunks had holes in them, they wouldn't know or care.
Yeah.
They just get out there in their bonds and just, let's
Unfortunately,
go.
there's probably not very much to our costumes either. But when you're covered in that much tan, you don't really feel it or notice it. But it's a day that we feel beautiful. We feel beautiful in our skin. We feel beautiful in our bodies, and that's a really lovely thing to a lovely place to be, a great place to own.
So you had a gym for how many years?
The gym sort of merged. It started before it actually became a full-blown gym. I started out doing sort of boot camps and just personal training. So I initially started actually out underneath my home, until it got to the point where I think there was nearly 100 people coming visiting my home every week. I had some other trainers working with me as well. We've gone, we're just a little bit too big to be fitting underneath the house. So that's the point we moved into a commercial premise and opened up the gym with a focus on strength training.
It was in Brisbane?
Yes, it was pure energy training.
Okay.
So it was a focus on strength training primarily, but also with a focus on nutrition, as I really believe that to change a body is about strength training. I think too many women get caught up doing cardio and spending all their time on treadmills and in cardio rooms, and they're really just becoming skinnier versions of themselves. I think a lot more people can learn a lot from bodybuilders, as we're probably the one group in society that has really mastered how to lose body fat without losing muscle, and how to chisel your body. So I think too many women just try to cardio themselves into great shape, and they're not building muscle, they're burning muscle. So I really think to create a chiseled look, whether that's just a chiseled look in a bikini, or whether it's actually growing some really great quality muscle, it really is all about weight training.
I think the the competitors now in the bikini model and the sports model and fitness model and that, they're it's probably a lot more achievable.
Yes.
And especially if you're if you want to get back into shape, it's probably a little bit easier to get into that softer that softer look.
Yes. And interestingly, I think that bikini competing and fitness models, sports models, is becoming a force to be reckoned with, a real popular sport in Australia now.
It really, especially over the last 10 years, I mean, it's funny because before the early 80s, there wasn't really any figure.
Yeah.
And then I remember I've seen, if you look at old photos from bodybuilding contests in the 60s and 70s, the women's contests were always the Miss Bikini or the that sort of thing. And they were beautiful women, but they were softer physiques and
absolutely.
In a
the standard has completely changed even in the last 10 years of conditioning for women and figure competitors. The expectations is that women need to be leaner and harder and tighter and having to deliver much sharper packages than ever before in history. And bikini competitors are all generally weight trained. They all generally are weight training, and every fitness model, sports model, even bikini competitor that I work with, all are training seriously, are all dieting seriously, and are all giving their all, just the same as a figure or bodybuilder does. So they're all doing the same process, just perhaps a figure competitor or bodybuilder has been doing it longer and has more muscle.
Yeah, and I guess in theory anyway, the bodybuilders and the figure competitors will be a lot more depleted because they're required to get into a lot better condition. But still, I think, as we were saying earlier on this evening, the battle over who you were yesterday and who you've been previously, when you get up on stage and you're feeling good about yourself, you've really achieved something incredible, and everyone who gets up on stage has achieved that.
Absolutely. I think it's really important too to think that the end game really is self-improvement. It's actually your own competition is yourself, and I think that as soon as we start comparing ourselves with others, and it's very easy to do. I mean, it is a competition, and there is a first and a second place getter, but at the end. No one trains for second place. We all hop on this because deep down we all want to be the best, and we'd be lying if we say we didn't. Yeah. We all want to come home with that first place, but at the end of the day, what really does matter is improving on the package that you had the year before, or improving on who you were yesterday, whether it means that you focused more or you were able to give more, but making sure at the end of the day you keep getting better. And I think that that's really important to keep our focus on that and our focus on what really matters. Sometimes we get so upset. This sport can be a sport of obsession because it's a sport of passion, and that I think we can get so obsessed with how we look that we lose sight of it's just an outer shell. That what's really more important are our relationships, our family, our health, our happiness, and sometimes we lose track of that when we compete.
Speaking of that, you have children?
Yes, I have 2 teenage children. I do.
And you're married, obviously.
Yes.
So you're a figure competitor on the world stage. You've got 2 teenage kids. Anyone who's got teenage children, I've been a teenager. We all have. Teenagers require a special skill set to deal with.
That's for sure.
How do you find managing being essentially a professional athlete and running
a business? And
Simon's obviously your husband is very supportive, very passionate, but very, very supportive of what you're doing. So
it's a constant juggle, and I guess that in itself it's been challenging and can be very stressful, and that in itself has taught me a lot of things. I think bodybuilding has taught me incredible time management skills, and some days are very, very acutely managed by time and how I divide that between things. I feel like I've got a lot of hats that I'm putting on. So I go to the gym, I put my bodybuilding hat on, I come home, put my mum hat on, I go to work, put my coaching hat on. It's also taught me about priorities and prioritising, and also about the need to actually prioritise myself at times. I think that sometimes as mothers, it's very easy to put everybody else first. And I think when we do that, we actually never really achieve anything. I think it's good for our children to see that I value myself enough to value my training time. I value myself enough to value time to prepare my food as well as your school lunches, and to actually to prioritise. So I think bodybuilding really does teach you about priorities. Teaches about time management.
The school lunches perfectly balanced out.
Macronutrient. Here's your protein. Here's your.
Imagine, because I know. Yeah, when you get in that mindset of writing diets for people and managing other people's food intake, and then you go, all right, what am I going to give the kids? Here's an LCM bar and a sandwich with some salami in it. I can't imagine you said
they eat very well, and we probably have a cupboard that's generally void of junk food, of biscuits and junk food, and that's sometimes also a little bit for me, because I do a firm believer that if you see something, your environment can help set you up for success or failure. And if every time I open the pantry door, I'd see Nutella or Tim Tams, that'd be very tempting, even though I've got fairly good self-control. So I don't think it needs to be in the house. If I don't eat it, I don't think they need to eat it.
Fair enough. Well, I'm just trying to remember.
They do complain. They do say most families get to eat pasta, and they go out for pizza and they eat this. How come we always have to have chicken and broccoli? No, we don't eat chicken and broccoli every night. But
I remember being a little kid and being 7, 8 years old. You don't really have much of a concept of what nutrition is. All you know is if you go to KFC, that's the best day of this is the best.
Yeah.
And Dad would take us to KFC and he'd order a roast chicken, and that's it. And
the child of a bodybuilder.
But the smell of the Kentucky Fried Chicken would waft into the car, and you'd be like, and then the
special mixture,
and then the people behind the window would hand you the roast chicken like you're an evil parent. Why are you doing this? And we'd just be sitting in the back like clawing at the windows, going, why? But yeah, it's I think that any child of a bodybuilder probably has similar experiences where you get given a steak for lunch and it's 3 times bigger than what you were probably expecting.
No, I think we went through a stage recently when I was dieting. We had the same dinner every single night for 3 months straight. I think at the end the teenage son was starting to get a little bit stir crazy. Let me out of here. I want to eat this food.
Are your kids very active? Are they into training or?
Yeah, my daughter plays netball. My son likes riding his bike. Okay. So that they're not in the gym. I would love it if they did.
How old are they?
19 and 17. But when they will, it's nothing that I've ever. It needs to be something that comes out of their own personal interest and desire to.
Do they follow you as a fan? Or are they sort of like, oh yeah, that's something Mum's been doing for years?
As I've got a daughter, I'm very conscious not to talk about dieting in the house. Yeah. I don't want her to grow up with any body image issues, and I think that the more teenage girls get exposed to dieting and I should eat this and you can't eat this and food rules cause all sorts of food disorders, I think, and inappropriate eating. So I really try to not talk about.
Do you think
sometimes I get ready for a comp and they don't even know I'm dieting.
That's I guess when you're doing everything right, people won't be sure you're doing anything at all.
Yep.
Do you think all of that, that food rules and that sort of stuff, do you think there's a lot of misinformation coming out, and especially from people on Instagram and Facebook, just saying, you put out the meme or the images or whatever, and people who are not experts, they don't have any real idea of what they're talking about, giving people advice and false hope around this is what you should be eating. That does a lot more damage than. Yeah,
or we see those people who've competed once and all of a sudden become an expert in the field of competing and how you diet and how you get ready, and you think you haven't learned, you don't know, you haven't got experience under your belt. But that's also up to the consumer to be wise where they get their information from, and who they choose to listen to. Not only in the field of nutrition and bodybuilding, but it's in everything. People wanting to sprout what they know, and I suppose with the surgence of social media, we're seeing more and more exposure to that, and it can be very confusing.
Every time I turn on Facebook or Instagram, I'm just bombarded with either people's abs. Everyone loves to take an ab shot, or it's
the epitome, isn't it? I've made it. Here's my six-pack abs.
Everyone's got the abs. I'm like, you bastards. or it's just boobs and bums and bodybuilders. It's just that seems to be, and obviously because of
it's absolutely it's the industry that you're.
I'm sure other
too.
people who don't have the same connection to bodybuilding that we do probably don't experience that. All their friends are out drinking and that. But every time I turn on Facebook, I see people who are in peak physical condition.
When I back in the days when I was a social worker and worked in child protection, all I saw was dysfunctional families and unhappy people. And
that's got to be a real toll on your mind, though.
Yes. And I thought the world was full of dysfunctional people. Now, as a coach, I don't think I'm aware of a single dysfunctional person. No. But all I see is fit people, strong people everywhere. I think, wow, the world's full of fit, strong people. Yeah. So I guess what you the industry that you're in, you expose yourself to.
Yeah, I mean, it's I suppose a little bit symptomatic of that. You surround yourself with people who hopefully are positive and happy and enjoying what they're doing.
I find that as a coach and as an athlete, as you know, I travel the world and have competed and I meet a lot of athletes from all over the world. I find that people who compete, especially at the higher end of competing, are all incredibly highly motivated, are driven, are all the women, particularly all empowered women, successful women, extremely positive. I find that the women who compete at a high level are very supportive of each other. Are all encourage each other, all appreciate the work that everybody else has gone to and will pat each other on the back rather than pull each other down. So I find at this level, and that's probably true to the mindset to get to this place. It needs to be a mindset that's focused on the positive, that's strength-based and strength-focused, and that particularly the women who I work with are a particular incredible, extraordinary group of people.
So what gets you up in the morning? What really ignites the fire in you? What gives you the passion?
I go through seasons depending on whether it's a competing season. A lot of times it's my clients that I work with as well. I get very excited on different people's journeys and to see where they're going. At the moment, I'm spending a bit of time writing, and I'm really enjoying that. I'm writing about my experiences with competing and my clients' experiences and my experiences with dieting. As I just think that I've learnt so much over my history in the sport that I would love to be able to share that so people don't make the same mistakes that I've made, and that people can learn from that experience, because when you make some of those mistakes, they're very hard mistakes to come back from in the sense of health-wise and hormone-wise and metabolism-wise. So I am really passionate about sharing that there is a healthy way to compete and that there is a balanced way. And so that excites me to write and excites me to read and excites me to research and to continue to learn more of that as well.
You just bought a MacBook.
Yes, we were just talking about that. Yeah. So that was really excited to actually yesterday I got it. So I was, first thing this morning, I couldn't wait to open it and to learn some of the amazing things it does. I'm a bit of a Apple fiend, so everything is now connected. All my photos from my phone, they're on my iPad, that are on my MacBook, they're all just there. It's like all 8,000 of them all.
Well, I've been thinking about getting a MacBook, and I'm sort of tossing up between the MacBook and the MacBook Pro, or maybe the desktop option. I'm not really sure, because photo and video editing something I'm interested in.
That's right. Yeah. It depends what you need for. I've actually got the perfect one that fit into my handbag, so that when I travel, I can actually pop it out on the plane and off I go. The 11-inch.
Oh, okay. So it was a MacBook comes in an 11-inch?
Yes. I've got MacBook Air, and it's very light. It's like a kilo, so you can hardly notice it. So it just slips in the back of my handbag, and off I go. I can open it up, and I can blog, and I can write, and
nice.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Yeah, I do all that sort of stuff on my phone.
On your phone, yeah. They're very versatile, aren't they?
Well, this is great, but
does the job.
You can't really. Eventually, you sit there and you're squinting your eyes, and it's. Yeah, you go half blind.
Yeah,
I don't need to be more blind. I'm already blind enough.
So I can share my stories now wherever I am at any time. I can write. So I'm a bit excited about that.
Cool. What's on the horizon for you?
There's always something on the horizon. I think for me, and I was just talking to your father, Graham, about this evening. I'm going to.
Here he comes now.
There we go. The name.
Dun, 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 dun. What's he? Okay, so Graham's just walked in. I think he's got McDonald's. No, he doesn't have McDonald's. He's got a chicken. He's got a chicken.
An entire chicken.
He's got milk or a chicken or something. He's got breakfast for tomorrow. He doesn't want to talk because he's embarrassed. We're drawing attention to him.
All right.
So, he's got some strawberries. That's good diet food.
Yeah. All right, back it.
So,
Where to from me? Okay.
Yeah,
there's a few things on the horizon. I mean, as you know, I've been quite committed and dedicated to this sport for so many reasons. For what it makes of people, for the strength and the confidence and the lessons people learn, for what it creates for their body, for the health that it creates. I'm a coach, and I just think I've got one of the best jobs in the world. I absolutely love what I do, and so I'm really excited to continue working as a coach. I'm planning on taking a team of Australian athletes over to America to compete in the first Lauren Powers show. And Lauren Powers is now affiliated with, as you know, with WFF, and her shows have become pro qualifiers for the universe.
So you met Lauren at the Orlando,
certainly
Orlando
did. Big personality,
couldn't
lots
miss
of
her.
lots of amazing energy, and a real celebrity,
Yeah.
a celebrity bodybuilder. So, and a very driven, exciting woman.
It's good to be around people like that who have just
Personality knocks you over.
Yeah, but I think, so many people spend so much time thinking, oh, geez, what do other people think of me? And is this the right thing to do?
And she's just a doer.
And
She's an all-time action girl.
Stuff it.
Gets out there. Who cares what anybody
thinks?
thinks? This
wear
is
the American
me.
flag as my outfit.
And we love her.
Yeah.
And she's great energy to be around. So take a team of athletes over there, just actually in a couple of weeks' time. So I'm really excited about that. Looking forward to that. We'll do the same thing in 2017. So we'll just go talk to Graham about which direction and which comps is going to be the best for us to position ourselves in for our Australian athletes, as to where to go from there. Whether it's going to be Brazil or back to America, where it will be the best spot for us to go.
I think you're obviously taking a position now where, honestly, you're at the end of your competing career, but there's probably not really a lot of things that you haven't done. You've competed all over the world. You've won Miss Universe. You're a professional bodybuilder. There's not really a lot, else that you need to achieve to say you're an icon in the sport, especially in Australian bodybuilding. You're a very recognisable personality. So now I think you're at the point where you can mentor and you can help to grow the next generation of upcoming competitors.
Which is a very privileged position to hold as well, and something I certainly cherish and value, to be able to share some of those experiences. I'm looking at giving 2017 my last shot at the most likely to be looking at the NABBA Worlds in Russia, and hopefully to go out with a nice big bang. And it's interesting, is even though I've been competing for so many years, I just feel like I've finally got it all worked out. All the pieces of the puzzle worked out on how you get it all done. So I'm hoping to tie it all in together quite nicely in a year's time. And
Russia should be an interesting event.
And then we'll make a wonderful transition into some more coaching and promoting after that.
So how many competitors do you coach at the moment?
Probably at the moment I've probably got about between 30 and 40, which is my capacity. Any more than that, I find it really difficult to give personal attention to.
Is that one-on-one, or is that just online coaching, or do you do a combination?
I do. For people who live local, they'll come to my office. For people who live international, I do a lot of international work with international competitors, and Skype is wonderful for that. Feels like I'm sitting there and they're in my office. I can see them, I can talk to them, I can hear the intonations in their voice and their expressions, and I feel like I connect quite well over Skype. So all my work is done when I can actually talk to somebody.
Okay, cool.
And it works very well.
At what point do you say, look, there's only so much I can do over Skype unless you can meet someone physically? I think you said you were going to go down to Melbourne on Sunday and try and meet with a client down there.
Yes.
I know that there are a lot of people doing online coaching.
Yes.
What do you think the limit of that is? Obviously, you can't see someone physically. You can see them on Skype.
Well, I've actually even worked out how I can do posing over Skype. Just about. The only thing I can't do is physically manipulate somebody's body. But if they put a mirror up behind their computer and step further enough away, they can actually see themselves as they're posing, and then I can see on the other side. So often it works reasonably well for me. Okay, shoulder back, chest up and higher, twist, lats on. How are we going?
That's all good.
Yeah, very great. Yeah, so I find it works well enough.
So I've got a couple of questions that I want to run through.
Sure.
All right, so if we were sitting here, maybe in Bendigo a year from now, celebrating what a great year it's been for you, what would you most like to have achieved?
Oh, wow. Oh, my list is long. What would I most like to achieve? Personally, health and happiness always comes first.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that people get lost along the way in a sport of extremities, is that we often lose track of that actually our health and our happiness is more important than six-pack abs. But at the end of the day, if I can have it all, that's even better.
I can't imagine you without abs.
So yes, if this time next year, I would love to have done perhaps my last show in Russia, and love to have gone out with a bang and do exceptionally well. I'm really, as I was saying before, really enjoying my writing and my research, and I'm working with a few scientists over in the US who are endocrinologists, looking at thyroid health and hormone health, and how dieting and carbs affect thyroid health and metabolism. So I've just finished my second book, which was called The Unbeatable Mind, which is about how success on the outside starts on the inside. And the book is 50 of my most powerful strategies that I've learned over the last 15 years to help keep me focused, help to keep me motivated.
Where can people get a copy of that book?
Well, at my website, www.cherylfrost.com. It's a real powerful read, actually, and I include a lot of spot for people for reflection and challenge questions, and just goes through a number of strategies to help really understand and to connect with what motivates you, what inspires you, how you stay focused when it gets tough, how you stay committed to achieving your goal. So that's been met with great success, and so I would love, over the next 12 months, I've got quite a number of other books I wanted to continue to write. So, and they're basically based upon there's a training book to chisel her body perfect, and then there's going to be a book on hormonal health for female competitors, or for the average fit chick, understanding how your hormones affect your training and your health.
And you've done a little bit of work with Body Conquest. And
Ingrid Barclay.
Ingrid Barclay, yep.
Absolutely. We've done some seminars together all throughout. We actually went through every state in Australia, presenting a series of seminars, and so where I spoke about metabolism and hormone health. And
you and Ingrid seem to have a similar philosophy on weight training and on dieting, and not destroying your body,
metabolism.
just
absolutely.
How did you find working with Ingrid?
Amazing. I mean, she's an icon in the industry as well, and has been for years. A woman with a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of experience, and a woman who's vivacious and energetic and can get her message across really well. So I think as a team we were quite dynamic, and it was very motivating. And she's just a motivating, inspiring person just to be around. So just being in her presence was a learning experience for me too.
Cool. All right, so next question is, when have you been most satisfied in your life?
I'm satisfied, I think, every single day. I wake up feeling really satisfied with what I do and with my lot. I don't necessarily think there are times that have been far greater. I'm very blessed to have a positive outlook on life.
Probably
and
a good sign, then. You're not depressed. You're a happy person.
No, that's right. So I get satisfaction from very menial things. I get satisfaction from looking at a vase of flowers, from a positive note from somebody.
It's quite zen.
There you go. From a peaceful moment.
So, who is your role model? Doesn't necessarily have to be bodybuilding, but everyone's. Yeah, I think no matter how old we get, it's always good to have a role model.
Yes.
Yeah. And no matter how much experience we have, there's always someone more experienced than us.
Absolutely. I'm forever learning from everybody around me all the time. And I think as soon as we stop learning, we stop. I think life's about constant learning. But my role model, I'm hard on. That's a tricky one to answer. I probably have so many, and I think I learn so much from. I'm constantly learning from everyone about me. Even every one of my clients, I feel I learn from their experiences.
You're obviously a role model to other people, so I guess sometimes people forget that even when you're inspiring others, there's someone who's inspired you and maybe continues to inspire you.
Yes. Probably inspiration wise, I get inspiration from a lot of different sources. A role model. Okay. That's it. Okay, I'll come back to that one.
That one. What do you consider to be the most significant accomplishment in your bodybuilding career?
In my bodybuilding career, I guess the icing on the cake is always is always the illustrious pro card, which for me was in Korea in 2012 or 13 or whenever it was, 14, there you go.
And that was a big show. You remember the stage.
It was very exciting, and in Korea put on a wonderful show in a wonderful auditorium. So that's always an illustrious moment that you refer to.
Mm. If you could have any superpower, what would you have?
Superpower. You're stumping me, Daniel. Superpower, let's see. I don't want to fly. I don't agree just being invisible. Mind reading, perhaps.
Okay, that'd come in handy.
There you go. Yeah. I don't know. I sometimes feel that my entire existence feels a bit like a superpower existence. Yeah,
it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So, all right, maybe coming back to the role model. When you first got into bodybuilding, who were the competitors or the coaches or the personalities that you looked up to?
Yeah. Okay. I've worked with a number of coaches over the years, and I think I've always continually learning from different people. Strength-wise, Damon Howell is a fundamental with some of his really strong opinions on strength training and deadlifting and squatting. Even back then, I think when I was reading my Ironman magazines regularly, I even think Ingrid Barclay's column always would go straight there and stand out. I think she still writes for Ironman, actually. Yeah. There's a wonderful nutritionist in the States called Kate Deering who writes a lot about metabolism and has written many books on how to heal your metabolism. So her work I've really greatly admired as an intellectual, from an intellectual science background, admiring her work. Dr. Ray Peat is probably a bit more of another intellectual. He's an endocrinologist who studied metabolism and thyroid health, and I've used his body of greatly admire his work immensely, and use his body of research to help with planning my nutrition plans and my diets with the athletes that I work with, and also with myself, with amazing results.
There's plenty of people inspiring you.
Constantly.
That's a good thing. I think if no one inspires you, it's a bit of an empty existence. So you seem to have a very full life, and you're enjoying things.
And business-wise, I read a lot of Robin Sharma's. He's written as a business coach, and for my own sanity and peace of mind and contentment, I even like Wayne Dyer's writings about being in a state of peace and contentment, and learning to find the balance, as sometimes life can get very noisy and very stressful.
Have you ever seen Inside the Actors Studio?
No.
James Lipton?
No.
He basically is an American interviewer. He interviews people in Hollywood, actors and people in actors really. At the end of every interview, he always asks them the same question, paraphrasing: if heaven exists and you end up at the gates, what would you like God to say to you?
What would I like God to say to me? Well done on a life fully lived. I would like to think that I give back more than I take, and I would like to think that I have encouraged and inspired and given to others in a way that has helped them live their life to the fullest, in a way that's helped them feel appreciated, in a way that's helped them to feel special, that I have helped empower people to and help give them confidence, help people feel successful and feel happy and become successful and to reach their greatest potential. So I guess I would be honoured and blessed to say, well done, you've done more for others than you have done for yourself. To have a more of a, I guess sounds a bit selfless, doesn't it? In that way, but
sorry, you can sound selfless.
There you go.
Right, well,
to give to others, to give my knowledge and my experience and my energy and enthusiasm and motivation. If I can share all of those things that I've been blessed to have in abundance. I was raised by very positive parents who really believed in my success and still believe in my success. No matter what I do, they believe in my greatness. And if I can give even a part of that back to other people and be a cheer squad and a fan squad behind others, then
really,
I'll have a life well lived.
That's really fantastic. There's a lot of people, especially in bodybuilding, who are take, and there's no there's no give back, and it's all about them. So thank you for being you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Daniel. What a delight.
That's all right. We've got a big day tomorrow in Bendigo. So
yes.
Dad's looking a little bit worse for wear. He's a bit tired over there.
I'm ready for bed.
He's ready for bed. Just finished his yogurt. How was the yogurt? It was all right.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for the
We'll
opportunity.
see you in the
Absolutely
morning.
delightful, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
See you then.
Bye.
Okay, so that was Cheryl Frost. Actually, right after we finished recording, Cheryl looked at me and went, "Oh, my parents! Of course, they're my greatest role models." So if Cheryl's parents are listening, she loves you very much. I think it was probably about 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night by the time we finished talking. So by that stage, considering that she'd flown down earlier that day, I think she was a little bit brain fried, as was I. So, yeah, but, a good chat. And I think there's some of the stuff that we probably weren't able to get all that deep into around what women in bodybuilding experience. The general experience, I think, is just probably a lot different than what people expect. But, if you want to understand the true nature of the beast of what bodybuilding's all about, you have to live it. You have to do it yourself. So, yeah, I strongly encourage anyone out there listening, go and talk to people in the industry. Go and talk to people who are doing it actively and get the real lowdown on, what it's like to be a competitive bodybuilder. Chances are it's going to be very different than what you think. All right, well, look, that's about all from me this week. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. In the next couple of weeks, we'll have interviews with Rob Begonna, WFF Mr. Universe, Maria McCarter, former president of A&B Victoria, and plenty of other people as well. So stay tuned for those episodes. Yeah, this is bodybuilding. Hope you're enjoying.